Hi guys, and welcome to my podcast. And today we're going to talk about the topic of maternal mental health. And on the couch with me, we've got my husband and special guest, Jason. And so what are you doing?
So I'm a mental health counsellor, and
Yeah.
I have experience of dealing in maternal mental health. Had quite a few clients that have suffered from depression and anxiety and just all the other things that go with that. So that's why I'm here today.
Oh, awesome. That's good. That's good. So why do you think maternal mental health is important?
I think it's quite a silent issue, and it's not probably spoken about quite enough. I think that there are a lot of women out there that suffer silently.
Yeah.
I think too that even though there is help, it's not accessed enough. So I think it's important just to spread more awareness about, one, it's okay to suffer,
Yes.
two, where to go, and three, maybe how to know if you are actually suffering.
Yeah, I think a lot of, like you said, lots of women go through the season of whether it's before birth, whether it's after birth, or during the season of parenthood, that they feel quite isolated as well, in a sense of they not knowing really what to do, and why are they feeling all these feelings.
Yeah, a lot of feelings of inadequacy too, right?
Yeah.
If it's your first time, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. Am I being a good parent? Or the mum shaming that happens out there. There are a lot of reasons to have poor mental health.
Yes.
Or a lot of contributing factors.
Yeah. And also, I don't think a lot of women actually acknowledge it as such. And this is me speaking on experience. I went through quite a low after I had my baby. So, and me not reaching out, I think, fast enough, or also understanding that, like, these emotions.
I don't think it's fast enough. I think it's just when you're ready, right?
Right.
Knowing when you're ready to reach out. Because one thing in mental health is that we can't help people who aren't willing to be helped.
Yeah, totally.
So I can't force you and be like, hey, you need to come with me. You're you're depressed or something, if you're not really ready to, one, accept that, but two, ready to get help.
Yeah, and also I think going on that is acknowledging what are the signs really that I need to possibly look out for if I'm feeling a low, or I'm feeling a massive high, or whatever it may be. What are the signs that women could possibly look for in themselves or maybe I should actually reach out for help.
To know that they're struggling.
That they are struggling. Yeah.
I think
and it's okay.
It is totally okay to struggle.
Yeah.
It's totally okay to have down moments and to feel low or to feel blue.
Yeah.
But I think some of the signs you should look out for are things like if you're starting to isolate.
Yes.
So you're pulling away from friends, family, you're even pulling away from your partner. I think that's a clear sign that something
it's not
is
perfect.
brewing.
Yeah.
Also things around like sleep. Like obviously you go through moments of sleeplessness because you're a new parent.
Yeah.
But if you're not sleeping well or you're oversleeping, changes in diet. If you're starting to worry, or you're quite anxious, more so than you used to be, because sometimes there are people who are just genuinely anxious people, people who worry more than others. But if you notice that from your baseline previous to now that's increased, then perhaps you've got some anxiety going on. Feelings of inadequacy, I think I mentioned that earlier. If you start to feel worthless, or that you're not a good parent, or that you're feeling unloved, or even if you feel numb. So there's a lot of things to look out for. But I think it's actually really important for the partner. If you're noticing changes in the mum, that to maybe, it's not so much saying, hey, I think you need help. It's actually just sitting down and saying, how's everything going in a
Yeah.
non-judgmental way,
Yeah, totally.
because mums don't want to be judged, right?
No, right? That's one thing that we don't want on top of everything else that we might be feeling as well.
Because
and
did you feel like shamed, like mum shamed, like even though a mum might not have said it to you directly, do you still feel that pressure that look at me different?
100%, 100%. I think there's a lot of talk amongst mums. Mums that have had 5 kids, mums that have had 1 kid, mums that have had, no kids yet, and they currently pregnant with their first child, and they've got all these voices constantly in their mind. Once they have the baby, now all of a sudden you've got to do A, B, C, and D, and you've got to do it this way, and if you don't do it this way, then you're not doing it the right way.
Do you think that there's an expectation on you as a mum to not have poor mental health? If you've got poor mental health, then you're not doing it right?
Oh, I think there's a lot there that if you suffer with that sort of thing, I think a lot of people almost look down upon mums in a way as well.
I think that's probably a general trend still in mental health, that it's not widely it's not widely accepted to struggle, because I can tell you now that outside of maternal mental health is that a lot of people struggle who still aren't accessing help.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I mean, I never had gone through depression or anything in that nature that I could actually identify that is depression or that is me feeling anxious about something until I became a parent. And I had challenges, but I think reaching out to my therapist at the time was so important, not only for myself but for my baby. And a lot of mums feel like they should just carry on. We should just carry on because this is what mums do. No, it's not. And I think your mental health is more important and overrides everything else than how you feeling in that space at the time.
If mum is not right, if mum has poor mental health, that is going to affect the baby.
Yes.
So if there's all this pressure and this expectation to be this perfect mum that's like getting you down, you'd rather have good mental health and be assumed to be this bad parent than to like keep it all in and completely like have a meltdown. Then you can't parent at all. Right?
Yeah.
Your mental health is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think, and once we go back to that whole expectations of being a mum. I mean, you'll be in mum groups, or if you attend any mum groups after having the baby, and everybody's talking about how well their baby's doing and how good they're feeling, and
spilling the tea while drinking the tea.
And all of a sudden, you haven't experienced any of this because 1, your baby's different, and 2, you're not as the same as every other mum in that room, and feeling quite stressed,
inadequate,
guilty, lots of other emotions as well.
Because the other thing too, what I want to point out is that your baby's development there's so much genetics involved, right? You might be the best parent out there, and what happens is that your baby might not be walking at 1 or might not be speaking at 18 months. But that might be more genetic than you parenting, and you might be the best parent ever, and like everyone's like, oh, like Shanae, she's the best parent. But even if your son is still not like walking at 1, you're going to take that personally. And I think we need to normalize that a lot more, that every baby's different.
Totally.
No matter what, like how nourishing your parenting is, you know, like you just need to be told, right? You're doing a great job. And you're loved.
Yes, I think having a support network is so important, especially with new mums. I know everyone doesn't have the support network that we might have or other mums have, but there is help out there. There is support networks out there, as in like communities, churches, that also help with young mums single mums, you know, in general, they can help you go through this journey, because once again, we're not meant to do this by ourselves.
Yeah.
We're meant to have a village or people around us that support us and nourish us in a way of feeling like we've got this, right? And that's where partners also come in, husbands come in to the picture to help out, boost that.
We can be
morale.
contributing factors to poor mental health too. You know, like especially if we're not being a good parent to ourselves, or we're neglecting our partner, our wife. I think it's
mums are meant to do it all. That's not true. It takes two people to
It's
help.
very 1950s.
Yeah. Well, we know it.
I think it's important that the mum, because the mum is pouring out so much. That they just went through a traumatic experience in terms of birthing, although a beautiful experience. It's traumatic on the body, so they need all the love and encouragement straight away. And I think sometimes we give all that love and encouragement to the baby, and we forget the mum. So they're equally as important, because you know, without a good mum, a healthy mum, that baby is going to suffer.
I think that's also really important with the whole birthing experience. I mean, I didn't have the birth that I would have liked to have, but it was for the health of myself and the health of my child, and I did it because that's what we do, and that's what was advised, and that's what I did. So I think after that as well, after the birth, and not having your birthing plan or your beautiful birth experience that other mums might actually have, that you're in the circle with, that is okay, and talking to someone about that as well, because that plays a huge part on your mental health.
I think it's
well.
important that you have someone to talk to, that you can be just straight up and honest,
vulnerable,
because you know, like there are some other mums that you probably talk to, and they're like, how's it going? And you're like, it's good, it's good,
it's great,
it's good, and you're not like sharing about how I had poop on my arms and my hair, and like my son peed on me, and like you know, like they didn't eat this morning and they threw a tantrum and I'm feeling like crap. But you're still going to say, no, I'm feeling good, because you don't want them to think any less of you, right? You need those other mums, or they don't have to be mums, you just need other people in your home that you can just be straight up with and say, life is hard.
And it's okay to share that with people. It's okay, and I think we've got to.
It's freeing. It's liberating.
Totally normalizing that space as well for.
Especially when you don't feel judged by that person when you say life is hard, and they say, that's okay.
Totally.
So, do you think there's any like things you can do, like before you give birth or after you give birth, that can like self-care, like prevent some of this low moods and poor mental health?
I think for me, I'm going to be doing it the second time round, so in April, so very soon. I think in this time round, and we always talk about this as well, is I'm able to communicate a bit better, talking about it. If you're feeling in your own head, or like myself, I get in my head a lot, and talking about it to your partner or to possibly other mums as well.
Good tip is that if communication isn't easy, you can use a ranking system or a scale and say, babe, how was your day? 1 to 10, like 10 being really good, 1 being poor. So they don't have to elaborate, because they might be tired and they might not have the words. So like you just say, how was your day? And she might say, it was a 3. So I know, babe, like rough. 3, okay, like day. Do you want me to run a bath for you? I mean, like it probably doesn't take a 3 for me to run a bath, right? I should be running a bath at any time.
Regardless.
So like 3 means, or maybe we'll just order dinner tonight.
Alleviating that pressure off your stuff.
It just gives me the cue to know that like I'm like all hands on deck because you're a 3.
So I think that's really important. I think communication with in general about how you're feeling, talking to your partner is so important to keep that open. Yes, it's hard because some days you just, they're probably the problem as well sometimes, or they are the issue sometimes, or you feel like they are the issue, but they're actually not because you're just in your own headspace. But also talking about that and being vulnerable and being okay with being in that area of talking about it.
I think another good preventative factor is just good nutrition, like basics.
Yes.
Hydrate, good nutrition. Now I'm a sucker for sweets and like food that's not good for you. And like, if you hear me say it's good for you emotionally, that's probably because it's not as good for your body, but it's good for your mental health. So I think you know, like, it's okay to have a treat now and then, especially if you're feeling low, because that treat might be just the thing that just helps you feel a little bit better about yourself to get you through the day.
Yeah, and also the exercising, if you can, getting up, just maybe going up and down, walking, just a little bit in your house, like literally, that's all it sometimes takes, just to get out of that headspace as well. Could also actually lift your mood and make you feel a bit better.
And moving is actually really important for your recovery too.
Yeah.
Because if you're laying around doing nothing, and if you've had a C-section, then like your body still needs to move to help all that blood flow to get all the nutrients through, and like blood flow to the brain helps with mental health.
And what are a few tips that you could put out there for mums
about mental health?
Yes,
I think it is just to do with like just being okay with like suffering.
Awesome.
And I think like if you are struggling, and let's say you are a single mum or you don't have anyone else to talk to, just reach out to those online groups.
Yeah, there's heaps of them.
There's so much support.
Facebook. Yeah.
You know, reach out to like sites like this one here. Like, I think we don't talk about it enough.
No.
We've got to normalize it. It's okay to struggle.
Totally.
Being a parent is not easy.
Yeah, and it's okay to struggle, like you said. So awesome. So thank you so much for chatting today, and thank you, babe, for your advice and your knowledge in this area. And mums out there, if you are struggling or you need someone to talk to, there's heaps of places to reach out. And if you want to inbox or comment or anything on this, then you're welcome to, and we can help you further, possibly give you an avenue or avenues to
direct you to where you need to go.
And just help you out as well. So you're not alone in this. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.